Welcome to the Navigating Your Life show. I'm your host, Nat Williams. Since February is Heart Health Month, our topic tonight is keeping hearts healthy. First, I'd like to draw your attention to the statistics on the screen as reported by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Heart disease is the leading cause of death for both men and women. In 2009, heart disease will cost the United States $304 billion. This total includes the cost of health care services, medications, and lost productivity. African American women have the highest risk for death from heart disease. So recently I had the opportunity to visit the Cardiac Rehab Center run by Lehigh Valley Hospital. I spoke to several patients who were in the final phase of their cardiac rehabilitation to learn about their experiences. Well, welcome, Pat. Thanks so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Good. So how long have you been coming here to the clinic?
I started in the spring of 2009.
Wow, okay. And what brought you here to the clinic?
Well, I had unexpected open heart surgery with 5 bypasses.
Wow.
And then here in rehab, because we're monitored, I had an incident of a rapid heartbeat, and they put me back in the hospital in August, and I had a defibrillator and a pacemaker installed.
Wow, so
I am really bionic.
You are hooked up.
Oh yes, I am wired.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And it looks like you're doing very well, and you look good.
Oh, I'm hoping. Thank you.
Good. So what would you want people to know, based on your experience, if you could tell our viewers anything that they could benefit from your challenge and learn from that? What could they learn?
Well, if they're given advice by someone who knows, physician, whatever, take it into thought and listen to it, because it really is true.
Wow. And as you think about others that are potentially watching the show, our viewers, what would you want them to take away from today's show that you want to share with them as a piece of advice or information?
If you think something might be wrong, it probably is.
Don't think nothing can happen to you. You're not indispensable.
Wow.
It does hit you.
And what are some of the things that you've learned going through this experience for yourself? How has this impacted your life?
For me, it means taking better care of myself. I sort of put myself off doing certain healthy things that I should have been doing all along. Wow. As an older person, and I've been retired 9 years, and I should have had this as part of my life a long time ago and did not.
But you do now.
I do
right?
now.
And that's wonderful.
And hopefully for the rest of my life.
Good. Well, Teresa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Good. What is your job here at the hospital?
I'm a registered nurse.
And what do you do here in the cardiac clinic?
Rehab. We exercise patients after they have heart attacks and open heart surgery. We also provide education to them on changing their lifestyle to make themselves healthier and live longer.
Good.
Before they start the exercise program, they have an evaluation with the exercise physiologist and a registered nurse to assess their physical condition and any limitations they would have with doing any kind of exercise.
Wow.
We get them started on a regular exercise program where we're monitoring their heart rate and rhythm and their blood pressure. They come 3 times a week for about an hour and a half at the most. And they get more comfortable with exercising where they're not fearful. A lot of patients, especially after a heart attack, open heart surgery, they're very fearful to even resume their normal activities of daily living, let alone start an exercise program. Doing some regular aerobic exercise like they do here, it helps lower your cholesterol, helps lower your blood pressure. If you're diabetic, helps keep your blood sugar under control, helps you lose weight. So overall, it prevents that blockage from occurring again in the heart arteries.
Wow. What would you want our viewers, with all you've learned and all you've seen in this hospital, what would you want them to take away from tonight's show?
I think the most important thing is that heart disease can happen to anyone. There are many risk factors just having a family history of heart disease. And I think one of the most important things is to teach our children how to eat properly and exercise and start at an early age to live a healthy lifestyle rather than waiting till you're 40 or 50 and having a heart attack and then the damage is done.
Sure. With me in the studio today is Dr. Rano Fordenberger, the Chief of Cardiology at Lehigh Valley Hospital. Welcome, Dr. Fordenberger.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us today. And I want to just pick your brain a little bit about heart health and what we can do. And one of the things I'd like to ask you is, what are some of the greatest risk factors that place people at in a position where their health or their heart may be somewhat of a challenge?
Clearly, the greatest risk factors for heart disease, developing heart disease, is the presence of high blood pressure. It's known as the silent killer. Many people have it. They're unaware of it. It goes untreated, and heart disease can develop from that. Also, high cholesterol.
And just let's stop there for a second with the high blood pressure. Is it because the heart is working harder and the pressure is greater? Is that what's taxing the heart?
Correct. So the heart works as a muscle like any other muscle. When you put more strain on the heart, and the heart has to pump more vigorously over a long period of time against high pressures, the heart then becomes too thick, and it also can lead to atherosclerosis, which is blockages in the blood vessels supplying the heart.
Wow. And you were just beginning to talk about cholesterol.
The combination of high blood pressure and cholesterol is really a deadly killer. The two of those risk factors account for the majority of the risks in patients that we see who present with a heart attack. So if you have high cholesterol and you have high blood pressure, you have a very significant increased risk compared to those who do not of developing any forms of heart disease.
Wow. And when we had a chance to watch that B footage just before you came on, when I went to the clinic, the rehab center on that day, there was one man and maybe 6 or 7 women. Was that just a fluke of a day, or do you find that that's how it turns out? That one of the things that I walked away with is feeling that maybe the men don't survive and the women do, but maybe that's a poor man's guess on what the challenge is there.
It's an interesting observation. Men are more likely to develop heart disease in their 50s, and women are a little less likely to develop heart disease. But women tend to catch up to men after menopause when they're in their 60s and 70s. They catch up very quickly. So the lifetime risk of developing heart disease is about the same in men and women, but it peaks at different time frames in your life.
Wow. And what are some of the signs that a person may know as they're checking their own self out that maybe there's something I need to get to the doctor and have looked at?
The most important sign to look for is if you're developing chest discomfort. Most people say it feels like an elephant is sitting on their chest. It may be less intense than that, but if you develop a new funny sensation and feeling like squeezing of your chest, particularly when you're exercising, that can be a warning sign that you're developing or at risk of developing a heart attack. So we recommend that anyone who feels those symptoms seek a medical attention right away.
Sure. And would they go to their doctor, go to the emergency room? How would you?
If you have the pain only when you're walking and it goes away, you should see your doctor. If you have the pain and it does not go away, that means you're probably heading towards a heart attack and you should call 911.
Very good. And just another example is, would you call 911 and, of course, wait for the ambulance? Sometimes people have taken and had someone drive them. What would you suggest if you're having those?
If you're having chest pain, it's best to go with medical team through 911 as soon as you can.
Sure. As you see a lot of patients, I understand you have 60 cardiologists that are part of your team. What are some of the things that if you were able to get an audience of of a couple of hundred or 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people, what would you want them to know to try to avoid being able to be seen by a person with your skills?
I think that's the most important message we can get across is prevention is the name of the game. And the way to prevent heart disease is to reverse the risk factors. If you have high blood pressure, it needs to be treated. If you have high cholesterol, diet and exercise is the most important thing that you can do to prevent developing heart disease in any way, shape, or form. If we can hit those two along with smoking, we would have a major impact in decreasing the incidence of heart disease in this country. And as you said earlier, that's the #1 killer in this country.
And let's just talk about the diet. What are you finding for your patients is the biggest challenge with their diets?
In this country, we tend to have high-fat diets. It's easy to get fast food, which is generally high-fat, and it is actually very difficult if you're on the run to eat well.
Sure.
But it's important to really try to focus on having natural foods, whole grain foods, fruits and vegetables, so that you lower your cholesterol, lower your risk of developing heart disease. Exercise is also an excellent way to lower your cholesterol. It actually increases your good cholesterol and decreases your bad cholesterol.
And how often would you exercise in a week's time, and for what duration would you recommend?
It's actually been shown that as little as 15 minutes a day, 3 days a week is beneficial. So as much as you can do, even if you can't get a lengthy exercise period protected in your day, even 15 minutes 3 days a week will be of benefit.
And let's say if you just had a lunch hour and you went for a walk, is that counting toward anything, or do you really
Sure.
need to break a sweat in order for it to really matter?
Any exercise is good. The more calories you burn, the better the exercise is, but walking is better than not walking.
Sure. And do you find that fellowship as a person's trying to lead a healthier lifestyle helps, or is it something that you've seen where people are just able to be more independent about it, or a combination of the two?
I think it's a combination. Many people benefit from having friends and colleagues around them who are living healthy lifestyles. It encourages you to do the same. There's peer pressure towards health. We try to promote that at Lehigh Valley Hospital among the employees, where we have a culture of wellness, and we try to encourage people to encourage their peers to exercise and eat well.
Yeah. I sit on the board of a personal care home called Sacred Heart Villa, and the staff in the kitchen have went on a challenge, and they've been able to lose over 200 pounds.
That's great.
And that really is just a wonderful thing, and I think a lot of times if you're able to be with others who are working on that same goal, it makes a world of difference. When you look at the issue of age, does that have an impact on, you mentioned earlier that 50 and 60 for men and women respectively, but let's say I'm 30 years old and I'm still young, or I'm 20 years old. Is there any time for you not to be paying attention to your heart health? I would assume that it's something you need to focus on throughout your life.
Absolutely. Even in childhood, focusing on eating well and exercising is very important. We learned, unfortunately, during the Vietnam War from autopsies that were done on young men that blocked blood vessels supplying your heart can start even in your 20s. So even children should watch their diets, be conscious of cholesterol, practice good health and exercise.
There's no free time when it comes to good health.
Absolutely.
Every day matters. So as we get ready to wrap up, Doctor, is there anything you want to share with our listeners as a parting thought?
I think prevention is the most important thing we can do for every reason. The healthcare dollar, for society, reversing risk factors of cholesterol, high blood pressure, and not smoking are the most important preventable actions that we can take in order to lead a healthy life.
Well, very good. Well, thank you, Doc, so much for joining us today. I think you provided some very powerful information.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. All right. We now have to stop now for a brief commercial break. When we return, I will be joined by a cardiac patient currently completing her rehab program. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to experience personal success in all 8 domains of life? Then join Dr. Nat Williams for the Absolutes of Success Weekend Transformation Program at Tucson, Arizona, and achieve your greatest potential. Registration includes a 2-night stay with meals at the beautiful Westward Look Resort. Register today, only $6.99, or register with a friend and pay only $9.99 with shared room. Call 1-800-810-3683 or visit absolutesofsuccess.com.
Enrich your life at Sacred Heart Villa, situated atop Mount St. Michael on 40-plus scenic acres. Our caring staff includes missionary sisters and on-site licensed nurses 24/7. We offer medical reminders as well as dispensing medication and transportation to medical appointments. With excellent food, fun events, a spacious hall, safe rooms, and much more, your life will be enriched. Call 610-929-5751 or go to sacredheartvilla-readingpa.org.
Autumn, age 15, is cheerful, creative, fun-loving, and energetic. Her favorite activities include swimming, biking, crocheting, arts and crafts, board games, and spending time with her friends. An animal lover, Autumn enjoys caring for all kinds of household pets. She is an honor roll student and science is her favorite subject. Autumn has experienced many separations and losses in her life and yearns to have a forever family. She dreams of being adopted by a loving mom and dad with brothers and sisters and pets in the home. She would do best with a family that allows her to continue to have contact with her sister who has already been adopted. For adoption information, please access the National Adoption Center's website at www.adopt.org. And for further information specifically on Autumn, please contact C. Allen at adopt.org. Welcome back to the Navigating Your Life show. I'd like to welcome my next guest, Michelle Sable. Michelle is currently in a final phase of her cardiac rehab program. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. So tell us about what your journey has been. I understand that the journey began in September. Tell us what that has been like.
Well, I had my heart attack in July.
Oh, July, okay.
I had 2 heart attacks in July.
2 heart attacks. Explain that.
Okay. The first one was in the emergency room. They got me up to the cath lab, and right after they put the stent in, I had another heart attack.
Wow.
But I'm here.
Okay, and we're thankful for that. And how did you what made you come to the emergency room? What made you?
I have bilateral plexus neuropathy. It's the chest and the arms. And for a long time, I always had symptoms that felt like heart attack. Mm-hmm. But when I would go to the emergency room, they would tell me, your heart's fine. Mm-hmm. So I've gone to a chiropractor to fix all this. And that's what I thought it was. And when I went to a chiropractor, she adjusted me. I went to leave, and I didn't feel right.
Wow.
And then I started sweating real bad, and that's when they got me in the ambulance.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that happened in July. Mm-hmm. Tell us what your journey has been like since then.
I have changed basically everything that I've been doing. I eat healthy.
So it was a wake-up call for you?
Oh, yes, it was.
And that bell rang very, very loud?
Oh, yes, it did.
Wow.
Yes, it
So
did.
please tell us.
I eat healthy. I go to the cardio rehab. After my phase 2, I went to phase 3. That's voluntary. You go if you want to go there, or you could go to a gym if you want. But I choose to go to the cardiac because there's trained people there. Sure. If anything happens to me.
They check you before you get started.
Yep.
And after you're done. So
Yep.
When you leave there, you know that you're in pretty good shape.
Yes.
All right. You said that you learned a lot and you're doing things differently. What were some of the things you were doing before that you're not doing now on this side of the heart attacks?
Make myself exercise.
Really?
Okay. Even when I don't want to, even if it's a walk. After dinner, I try to make sure I take a walk. A lot of mindset. It's a lot of
how you think.
Thinking positive. Yes.
Okay. And your diet, did that change?
Oh, yes.
So what was the diet like before, and what is it like now?
Before, fats, fried foods, all the stuff that tastes good, but
Really?
it's not good for you.
Wow.
Afterwards, I eat a lot of fruit, vegetables, lean meats, a lot of apple juice and a lot of juices. I try to stay away from the candy, all the stuff that's not good for you.
Did you lose any weight in this process?
I lost 15 pounds so far.
Wow, congratulations.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Wow. And what is it that you'd want our viewers, if they understood, you said something earlier that I'm here now. And I think that's such a powerful statement, and I'm sure your family and friends and those that know you are so happy that you're still here. But you almost weren't.
Right.
And now you are here. What could you tell people? What would you want our viewers to understand that you were able to walk through this and come out on the other side? What would you want them to know based on that experience that you had, so that hopefully they can avoid making a similar kind of path that you have gone down?
It starts in the mind. You have to change everything. Your whole way of thinking, your whole life. You want to have to do it. Because if you're not ready for it, you're not going to do it.
Very good. And I gave you a book that I wrote called Mature 64. And people think it's about people that are 64 years old and being mature, but it's not. You had a chance to read it.
Yes.
What sense did it make to you?
It's a lot of mindset and being positive. The maturity part. I found in the book that I was a lot immature by reading it. Yes, yes. And the day that I read it, I applied principles to a problem that I had in the household, and it worked. Instead of freaking out and being immature, I handled it like the responsible adult. Very good book.
Very good. And so one of the things that you said, before we got started, or when we got started, was that it's about your mindset.
Yes.
And I think that that's so important, that if you approach something from a healthy standpoint or from a mature standpoint, you have different outcomes.
Yes.
And so I would assume that as you looked at your food and you said, you know what, I'm going to be healthy about it, and now another word you can add to the vocabulary is mature about it. And I think what you said is also very important, is that it transfers to other aspects of your life.
Yes.
So by eating healthy and eating maturely helps you to interact with your children or your grandchildren or your boss or whoever it is. So talk to us about that ability to transfer this to other parts of your life, and what eating healthy has done for you, as well as helping you to look at other things in your life in a more healthy way as well. So what has the impact been? You've gone through this, you've got a new mindset. What have you seen now that is working differently for you by that new healthy mindset that you have?
Everything.
Well, tell us.
My whole life has changed. I love people more.
Wow.
I don't wind up as quickly.
Really? Okay.
Okay, because
So you're pacing yourself.
yes, yes. I don't know how my body will react to stress like I used to be when I freaked out. And
You took it for granted.
yes,
So now you've had a wake-up call that maybe if you go there, you have to say to yourself, in all honesty, am I willing to lose my life over this thing that I'm going to get so upset about?
Absolutely.
Am I willing to die for it? And I think a lot of times you realize the stuff that you were putting your heart and your mind and your body through possibly wasn't really worth all the.
No.
Okay. Good. And your husband is off camera with us today, but I'm sure that he's been an important part of your recovery as well. So tell our viewers, what does the role of family and friends and the people that you know play in your ability to get back up again stronger?
well, it's just feels so great to know that people love you and they're there for you. He's my rock. He helps me with everything. He was there nursing me. My children were helping me. And they've changed too. They
So there's a different kind of love.
yeah, they don't come in stressing me out anymore. They think about what they're going to do or say before they come in, because I guess how fragile they believed I was. But I'm not that fragile.
Right.
I've been...
Well, take it for as long as you can.
Yes, yes.
And just whenever they start acting up, oh, I'm having a heart attack. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing with us your story. It's very powerful, and I wish you the very best. And
Thank you.
we were able to reach out to the Human Performance Center, a health-focused fitness center, and they've given you a 3-month free membership that also comes along with 2 free massages as well. And we're going to give that to you, as well as some of the other ladies that we had met when we visited earlier in our show. So we hope that you can use that and
Yes.
to your benefit, and we wish you the very, very best.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle, for being here.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this very short break.
Ready for some fun? FunWorks assists individuals with and without disabilities to participate in community activities. These activities are provided in small settings for 1 to 8 individuals with at least 1 to 2 direct support professionals. We visit places like Dollywood, Willow Valley Inn, Phillies Games, Iron Pigs Games, the Lehigh Valley Zoo, and more. Let us know your dream trip. Our staff is dedicated to ensuring your dream activities come true. For more information, call 888-966-9466 or visit funworksinc.org.
In these challenging times, your organization needs employees that maximize results. HumanWorks Training and Educational Services provides results-focused seminars for your staff. Topics include management and motivating employees, stress management, team building and leadership skills, and cultural diversity. Register today. Just $89.99 or $75 for chamber members. Call 484-893-5057 or visit hwtes.com.
As we all know, the job market is difficult to penetrate. Please look at the short resume on the screen and contact the email address below if this person's skills is of interest to you or your company. Let's help him get back into the saddle.
The Banana Factory is Lehigh Valley's premier community cultural arts center, promoting and sharing visual arts with everyone. This outreach educational center features a clay studio where students learn the art of ceramics with some of the region's most renowned artists. The Lehigh Valley's only hot glass studio, promoting the art of glass blowing and the glass making process. The Olympus Digital Imaging Center, where students learn the art of digital photography and much more. Come experience the world of art at the Banana Factory. Call 610-332-1300.
I sincerely hope today's show has been enlightening and encouraging and empowering for you. I thank you for spending time with us this evening. I hope our discussion has shed light on this very serious health issue and provided you with the inspiration to take the time to take care of yourself. One of the best ways we can show others that we love and respect them is by taking care of ourselves so that we can continue to be here for them. I want to thank our sponsors for giving us the giveaway for today's show. That is, the sponsor was the Human Performance Center. Their generosity is much appreciated. A list of resources related to today's show is available on our website, which is navigatingyourlifeshow.com. While you are there, you can also email me your comments on today's show and share ideas for future shows. I look forward to having you join us next week when we will be discussing adoption and foster care. I wish you the very best.
Enlightenment, navigate your life. Empowerment, navigate your life. Encouragement, navigate